Hello, good day everyone, and welcome to another how-to video from Heals on You. Remember to stay healed up, everyone. In this video, I'm going to be showing you a quick tutorial on how to get started in Ultima Online and the very basics on how to play the game, as it is an older game and there is not a lot of information available, especially regarding individual servers. So this is going to be information on the Ultima Online Forever shard. This is where I am currently playing. So to start off, you want to go to uoforever.com to download your free game client, okay? Next, you will go over to the headers over here where it says download and click on the download header. And you'll be prompted with a few different download options here, all right? I already have the game downloaded, so we're not going to worry about that for now, all right? But you're going to download the UOF Central Launcher right here. As you can see, it's an older game, so it is pretty small, right? So once all of that has been downloaded and you have installed Ultima Online, okay, you're going to be then presented with your launcher, right, which is right here. Okay, so you're going to open that up, get that started. Most likely you'll want to start by updating your files just to make sure you've got the most up-to-date art files and click locks and everything like that. It's a little inside joke with our community there. Next, what you're going to want to do is click on Launch and click Play Now. You're going to be prompted with your login screen. For your login screen, you're going to be choosing your own login and your own password, obviously, okay? Once you have done that as well, you're going to want to probably download the or get into the Discord for Ultima Online Forever. And with that, you'll have to link your character. So once your character has been created in here, you want to go onto Discord as well and link your character that you just created, okay? So now that we're in the game here, and we've logged in with our new password and login, we're going to click on the UO Forever client up here. So there's two different shards you can choose. UO Forever is more of a traditional style of UO, okay, where you have to stop to cast spells. There isn't mana potions and things like that. It's more of, like I said, a traditional take on Ultima Online. And UO Overdrive is what they call a sphere server. So it has a few different mechanics in terms of how Magery works on the field in terms of PvP and things like that. So again, I play on UO Forever myself. Again, you can try UO Overdrive. Some of the things that I might explain might not apply to you, or other things might apply. So just take that into mind. So we're going to start by going to UO Forever. All right. This is going to be our character list. All right. So these are the options of different characters that are pre-made that you can choose from to play as, right? For this video, actually, we are actually going to be playing on a different account. Sorry, 1 second. And creating a new character. So you're going to have blank slots here. You're not going to show characters, obviously, because yours won't be created yet. So what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to click on New, all right? And that will prompt you with the character creation screen, okay? With the screen, you have a couple different options you can choose. You can choose the skin tone of your character, all right? You can choose the starting color of your clothing for your character. And you can also choose the hair color and facial hair color for your character, all right? I believe we're going to make a female character this time. So I'm going to see if a certain name is taken. We're going to go with pigtails. Yeah. All right. So we've got everything selected. We have our skin tone, shirt color, pants color, hair color. We've chosen our hairstyle. We've chosen a name. If the name is not available, it will tell you once you've created the characters, so just be prepared to potentially remake the name of your character. That's something to keep in mind, all right? So we're going to click through to the next page here. This is going to be our character skill starting page, okay? So these are all the starting skills that you're allowed to pick from and how you set up your characters. So you're going to have different attribute points. My suggestion always is drop down your strength a couple of points and put a couple of extra points into dexterity and intelligence and kind of even them out at about the 20 mark. Because if your dexterity is too low when you start the game, it'll be a little bit frustrating if you run into someone and you can't continue running or something like that, right? And then from there, what we can do is we can choose 4 different starting skills. All right, so you want to click on one of these, all right? And depending on what type of character you're making, you want to choose different starting skills, as different starting skills apply to each character in different ways, right? For the sake of this video, we are going to start a warrior character, okay? Generally in Ultima Online, they are one of the easier characters to start off using, all right? They're relatively easy to fund on the field, relatively easy to play, relatively basic characters. So that's what we're going to play for today's video, or start showing you how to make for today's video, okay? And there's a few key skills that you'll want for a warrior character that will really help you, all right? In some cases, there will be flexibility, but in some instances, they're pretty set in stone. So for an example, you're going to want the anatomy skill, which helps you deal damage and helps you heal damage yourself, okay, with your healing skill, which we'll also pick, okay? Alchemy is brewing of potions. We'll actually do a quick rundown of the different skills here before we start selecting them here, just so people have a very quick rundown of what the different skills do. Alchemy is for brewing potions, right? Collecting reagents and brewing potions in the world, all right? And anatomy, like I said, is for helping you deal damage or for healing your character up. Animal lore is helping you find out information about animals in the overland, all right? It also helps you with the animal taming skill, all right, which is next, which actually allows you to control animals in the world as your own pet. Some examples of some of the better pets are drakes, dragons, large spiders, crabs, other large insects. So there's quite a few different tamables to choose from in Ultima Online. The next skill is archery, pretty self-explanatory. That is a combat skill where you use a bow and arrow. Arms lore is both a crafting skill and a weapon skill. Arms lore will help you increase your hit chance, but it will also give you more information about weapons and their durability, all right? So it's a side companion skill for a blacksmith. We have the begging skill, pretty self-explanatory as well. Allows you to beg to NPCs in the game to hopefully get some money. We have the blacksmithing skill, pretty self-explanatory as well. That one allows you to craft metal armor and weaponry in the game, all right? We have bow crafting and fletching, which allows you to create bows and arrows. We have camping, which allows you to create campfires and allows you to log out of the game outside of town much easier. I'll be honest, not really a very utilized skill nowadays in UO. Most people have houses. We have the carpentry skill, which helps you build wood items. Cartography, which helps you with deciphering treasure maps and making maps. Most people don't really make maps, though. Most people use it for a treasure hunter template. We have chivalry, which is not used on the shard. It's just in the list. We have cooking, which, again, pretty self-explanatory, helps you cook and bake different items in Ultima Online. We have detecting hidden, which allows you to detect hidden players, detect traps on chests, much like a rogue would be utilized in Dungeons and Dragons. We have discordance, which is used for being a bard character, which allows you to decrease the fighting abilities of the mobs you're fighting. All right. We have evaluating intelligence, which is a Magery supplementary skill. You would want to choose this if you were to make a mage character, as evaluating intelligence helps you supplement the damage you're doing by allowing you to analyze your opponent in terms of their mental capabilities. All right. We have fencing, which again is a combat skill. This allows you to use fencing weapons like krisses, which would almost be like a fencing foil. It allows you to use spears, pitchforks, different light melee weapons that are very fast in most cases. We have the fishing skill, which allows you to try fishing, right? Trying to catch a fish. It's actually a really neat system on Ultima Online because there's also message in a bottle systems. There are different nets you can utilize in the water. The water system or the water exploration system in Ultima Online is very robust. And we'll try and do some videos on that in the future, but I digress. We have the focus ability. Again, not used here actually. We have forensic evaluation. This is one that really isn't utilized very much. Forensic evaluation essentially allows you to find out information about a dead body. Guess what? It's dead. The loot's gone. Someone already killed it. Don't really need that much information about that, right? The healing skill. This is something we bridged to earlier in the conversation. The healing skill allows you to heal yourself up without magic, okay? So by utilizing bandages in the game, which we will go over, you can actually heal up your generally utilized by melee characters, right? But it allows you to heal your character up over a period of time, okay? Which is one of the most important things in Ultima Online, staying alive, right? We have the herding skill, which allows you to herd animals in a certain direction or a certain location. Not generally utilized for most purposes, because if you're going to go that route, you would usually just take up the animal taming skill and actually be able to utilize them in terms of damage and things like that too. We have the hiding skill. For the most part, pretty self-explanatory. This allows you to hide on the map so people can't see you. And when you hide, people actually can't see you. Imbuing, again, not utilizing the shard, so we'll skip over it. We have inscription, which allows you to inscribe scrolls of magic powers. So melee characters or non-mage characters will have a hard time casting spells of certain circles. Inscription will help them cast spells that they wouldn't normally be able to cast by using a scroll, right, as a consumable, okay? We have item identification, which, again, gives you more information about certain items in the game, or if an item is unidentified, you can't see the magical properties of an item. You need either identification skill or an item identification 1 to be able to see what the magical properties are in an item, okay? Much like Cain would do in Diablo, for an example, when you first unlock a new magic weapon, right? Lockpicking skill, pretty self-explanatory as well, generally a rogue type of skill. Lockpicking will allow you to pick locks that are locked, chests in dungeons, paragon chests that may drop on certain spawned mobs, certain specialized spawn mobs, right? We have lumberjacking, which is both a resource gathering skill and a supplementary skill for swordsmanship. So you can either gather wood with lumberjacking, or you're able to actually use it as a supplementary skill to increase your damage with axes as a swordsman, okay? Mace fighting is a melee or combat skill, and that one allows you to use mace weapons, okay? We have magery, which in my opinion in Ultima Online is probably one of the most versatile skills in the game, okay? Just like it would be in most instances. You can do anything from create food, to protect yourself magically, to teleporting around the map, to summoning creatures to fight for you, to damaging creatures, to healing players. It is vastly, universally important. Magery is really, really important. Past that, we have meditation. Meditation is, again, a supplementary skill to magery, which will actually help you gain back your mana faster, both passively and actively, depending on how you use it. We have the mining skill, which will allow you to mine up resources on the map from different ore nodes, right? So a supplementary skill for blacksmithing. Mining and blacksmithing go together. You mine ore turn the ore into iron ingots or different colored ingots, and then use those to create weapons or armor. We have Musicianship, which is a bard skill. That is the supplementary skill to any of the actual control abilities like Peacemaking, Discordance, or Provocation. You need Musicianship to be able to use those other skills. Musicianship is just a base skill otherwise. All right. We have Mysticism, which is not used here. We have Necromancy, which is not used here. We have Parrying, all right, which is using a shield to protect yourself in combat, okay? We have Peacemaking, which again is a bard skill, as we've already explained. That one will allow you to actually pacify creatures out on the field so that they don't attack you or move for a certain period of time. It's almost like a paralyze effect, right? As like a siren would do or something like that, right? Putting them under a lull effect. We have the Poisoning skill, which allows you to apply poison to bladed weapons or to food, actually, which can be very fun in Ultima Online. All right. We have the Provocation skill, which allows you to actually provoke two creatures to fight one another, which, if you've guessed it, is a very, very powerful bard skill. Allowing two creatures to fight themselves to the death while you sit there and watch is a very powerful skill in a game where creatures are trying to kill you, right? We have the Remove Trap skill, which again is a rogue supplementary ability that allows you to remove the traps on the treasure chests we were talking about earlier that might potentially have a trap, right? We have Resisting Spells, which is, for the most part, pretty self-explanatory. It allows you to actually resist spells being cast on you. So reducing damage, reducing effectiveness of a certain spell being cast on you in a harmful way. Okay. We have the Snooping Skill, which again is a thief or rogue supplementary ability. Okay. So in Ultima, you can actually snoop someone's backpack, look into their inventory, and actually, flip through their inventory, right? And with the supplementary skill of Stealing, all right, you can actually steal the said items you're looking at. So long as they're not blessed or nubified, which are the only items you can't steal in Ultima Online, you can steal items, right? Which is really neat. We have Spirit Speak, which is here it is actually a utilized skill. Spirit Speak will actually allow a meta mage to actually gain back mana faster. And I believe it also helps reduce the casting cost of spells as well. So it actually is a really nice passive ability for a meta mage, which we'll talk about meta mages further in a different video. All right, folks, this is basics. We then move on to Swordsmanship, which is another combat or basic melee skill, which allows you to use bladed weapons, much like fencing, but swords instead of fencing weapons. We have Tactics, which is, again, a supplementary skill that goes along with a warrior. Tactics allows you to know tactical warfare and helps you supplement damage in battle. Pretty much a necessary skill for a melee character. We have Tailoring, which allows you to create crafted cloth items. All right. We have Taste Identification. Not a very utilized skill in Ultima Online. It pretty much tells you if things are poisoned or not poisoned, but you can just eat the food and find out if it's poisoned or not. Throwing is not utilized on UO forever. We have Tinkering, which is a skill that allows you to essentially tinker items together. It's a crafting skill, so it allows you to create different items in the game. Trying to think offhand, clocks, different items. It is actually a very useful skill, though. We have Tracking, which allows you to track different people or mobs in the game from a distance, which is pretty useful, actually. We have the Veterinary skill, which is a supplementary skill to animal taming, which allows you to actually heal up your tamed animals that you may have tamed in case they get low on health. All right. And last but not least, we have the Wrestling skill, which is a supplementary skill for a mage, okay? So you would choose Wrestling if you were a mage because it helps you not get interrupted when you're trying to cast a spell. Because when you're trying to cast a spell as a mage, if you get hit by something, you potentially get interrupted, which would stop your spell casting. Wrestling allows you to essentially stop any melee combat or prevent melee combat from interrupting your spell casting, all right? So for this video here, as I said, we are going to be making a basic warrior character. Okay, so now that we've gone over all the skills and you know essentially what some of them do, the basics of what they do, you'll want to choose for your starting character, in my opinion, you want to choose anatomy, healing, okay, a weapon skill of your choice. So as I said, that would be archery, mace fighting, swordsmanship, or fencing, okay? For this video, we are actually going to create an archer, okay? And then again, last but not least, what you would probably want to choose is either tactics or magery. If you want to create somewhat of a hybrid build, you would probably want to choose magery, as magery is going to be one of the harder skills in the game to build up, all right, compared to tactics. Whereas if you're building a straight warrior character, you would probably want to still stick with tactics, all right, so that you can just hit the ground running. And with magery, you can actually buy skills in Ultima. So once you've saved up a little bit of money and you want to gain in the magery skill, you can actually go up to an NPC mage, and purchase the skill from them, which will start you off at around 30 to 50 skill level, depending on the NPC's skill level. All right. So that's a little tip there as well. So now that we have our basic character made up here with anatomy, healing, archery, and tactics, we can then go to the next screen again. All right. And start getting into the game now. All right. Wow. I'm really surprised that name was available. I'm really, really surprised that name was available. All right. So now that we're in Ultima Online, I'm going to show you some very, very basics of how to play the game. Okay. Here, we'll get everything set up here. So when you get into the game, you're going to have to set a lot of this stuff up, right? You're going to have to get everything kind of organized on your screen, all right? And I'll show you how to do most of the stuff too, because some of these things might not necessarily be on your screen right away. So I'll show you how to get everything set up here, okay? Some of these boxes, like these boxes down here, are just informational boxes. They're just little tooltip boxes to allow you to kind of see cooldowns and stuff like that a little bit easier. Okay, so if you don't have a life bar, the way you pull up your character's life bar is by clicking and dragging on your character. Okay, so again, we're going to go over the very, very basics of Ultima Online, how to start playing, whether you're a vet coming back or a brand new player that's never played Ultima Online before, this is the video for you, okay? We're going to show some very basic information and tutorial stuff here, okay? So again, if you need your character's health bar, and this is at any point in time because maybe it gets closed down, maybe it gets lost or something, you click and drag your character and pull it off your character, okay? Then if you want more of an informational health bar, you can also double click the health bar, and that will bring up the detailed information of your character, okay? So from here, breakdown is your strength bar or strength attribute points are here, okay? You have a little clicker here that you can either set it to raise your strength, lower your strength, or lock your strength, okay? Depending on your attribute points in your build, you only have 225 attribute points to build your character, right? So utilize those attribute points very wisely based on your character and based on how you want your character to react on the field, right? If you're a warrior character, you're probably going to want more dexterity. If you are a mage, you're going to want more intelligence, right? For more mana. So keep that in mind, all right? And that will help you with locking them out at a certain point or raising them at a certain point, okay? We have hit points. You'll notice your hit points are a little bit higher than your strength, actually. There is a built-in ratio that will help you out with that to help out your hit points. So that's why I usually lower my strength a little bit to bring up my dex and to bring up my intelligence, because those are on par with the intelligence and with the attribute points themselves. So boost those up a little bit so you get a little bit more actual dexterity and stamina and a little bit more mana, right? In my opinion. Okay. Then moving over to here, we have the defense chance increase. So this is essentially your armor rating, your, I guess, virtual armor rating, if I'm not mistaken, right? We have maximum stats, so how many attribute points you actually have to distribute, so 225. Luck is not used here. Your weight, your carrying weight of this character. So in Ultima Online, you actually don't use a panel system of how many items you can hold. It's actually done based on weight, okay? So it's a different system than a lot of newer MMOs, which have, say, like a 16 grid bag where you can hold 16 items. Ultima Online allows you to hold a certain amount of items and a certain amount of weight. You're maxed out at 125 items, which is a lot of items, all right? I think it's 444 stones or something in your bag as a max character weight, but you won't actually be able to carry that. We'll get into that later, okay? Then from there, we've got our damage rating, all right? We've got how many followers are following us, because again, we can tame and control animals or have a horse, right? So each different pet that follows us takes up a follower slot, depending on how strong it is, okay? We have different things here that aren't used, okay? I just realized that. And then we have our armor rating here. As you can see here, there's different elemental ratings. The elemental ratings aren't used on Ultima Online forever. That was a newer feature built into UO. But on older retro shards like Ultima Online Forever, you won't get features like that built in. So you'll just have a physical resistance rating, okay? And then at the very, very bottom, you have a gold count, okay? So that shows you how much gold you have in your bag, okay? So in a lot of cases, a lot of people, like myself, I keep it minimized. Some people will want to see the numbers all the time, so you want to put it's somewhere where you can see it all the time, all right? You want your health bar up. On top of that, we've got our counter bar, okay? So this is where you would throw certain items, almost like a hot bar in most newer MMOs, where you want to keep track of certain items, both their counts and the ability to use them, okay? So to get that up on the screen and to change the orientation of how it's actually set up, okay, rows, columns, and everything like that, you'll come into your options menu, okay, on your paper doll. This is going to be referred to as a paper doll. And if it's not open, you can open it by clicking on the little arrow in the top left, going over to paper doll, clicking on paper doll, and then bringing up your paper doll, okay? So on the side here, we have options, all right? Under options, if you scroll down a little bit here or just hover down, you're going to get down to counters, okay? You're going to enable the counter, so this actually physically shows up on the screen. I like to have it highlight on use, so whenever I use one of these, it will highlight the box that's being used, okay? I don't enable abbreviated amounts. I want to know the actual amounts, and I'm not usually carrying multiple thousands to have to abbreviate it, okay? And then I do like to set this so that if the item count reaches less than 10, because usually you're going to have things like potions, reagents, and bandages, like important things on this hotbar. You want to know and you want to be essentially told when your items are getting low. So I like to have it highlighted at around 10 so I know when to go back and restock my items, okay? This is going to adjust the actual size of the cells themselves, so you can either make them smaller or bigger, all right? I generally keep them at about a 40 or a 45. I find that's fine from my screen, all right? And then this will allow you to actually change the rows and the columns. I usually go with 30 boxes myself. I go with 3 rows of 10. I just like the orientation of it. I like how it sits on my screen. It fits everything I want and more in there. So I usually go with 3 rows of 10. And again, this you can track anything on that bar now by just clicking and dragging the items, and then it will show you how many of said items you have in your bag. And by a quick double click, instead of having to go into your bag directly and trying to click on the items in your bag to use them, you can just click on the hotbar and utilize them from the hotbar, okay? Which is very, very useful, okay? Big tip there. All right, so we're going to apply that, okay? Another thing you'll probably want to get set up for quick viewing is what's called the info bar, okay? Remember how when we double-clicked on everything over here, all right, you had the numbers themselves. Well, what we're going to do is we're going to duplicate the numbers, so we still have our regular visual health bar here, but we're going to duplicate the numbers by putting up an info bar. So underneath counters in the options menu, you'll click on info bar. That's going to bring up this menu here. This will allow you to keep track of different things in this menu here, essentially, right? I like to add on everything that's in here and then followers as well, okay? That's about the only extra one that I usually do. Where's the followers one? There it is, okay. So everything else is pretty much set up. Your hit points, your mana, your stamina, your weight is a big one, so you don't get overweight, which again we'll come to in a bit. And then followers, okay? And we'll make followers bright green, okay? And then what it's actually called on the bar, right? Okay, perfect. So then that brings up our info bar here as well, okay? So now we have our info bar here. Okay, so this is going to tell us all the information essentially that's in here, but numerically, okay? Some different features to go through in the menu, just really quickly, are ones you're going to want to get into right away are the combat and spells, okay? Right away, you're going to want to turn off hold tab key for combat. That's the first thing you want to do as soon as you jump into Ultima. Okay, because what that essentially means is, as it stands right now, to actually fight something, you have to hold down your tab key, okay, to put yourself into combat mode. See how my stance changes? You have to hold down the key. You can hear it. You have to hold down the key to be in combat mode, okay? Changing that makes it a toggle, okay? Now I'm in combat mode. Now I can run around in combat mode. I can interact in combat mode, okay? You don't want to click on something in combat mode because you will attack it, but you can at least be in combat mode for the sake of the argument now, okay? So first thing you do, okay? I like to keep Quarry before attacks on, okay? Because essentially what that does is, if you're going to do something that you shouldn't do, like attack an NPC or something, that's going to get you into trouble. Sorry, I got to find one that's going to get me into trouble here, right? This may flag you as a criminal, right? As a newer player, you might want to keep that up because this will help you not go gray and help you or prevent you from getting killed by other players, by guards, you know, whatever else, by making mistakes that you didn't know would be an illegal act, right? So I like to keep that up. But if you know what you're doing and you want to turn that off, Quarry before attack, and then you can openly attack people. If I was to attack this person now, actually, you know what? I can show you for sake of argument because I don't really have anything on me, okay? But for sake of argument, if I come here and then go to attack this person, I die, right? Instantaneously, I die. The guard kills me. I attacked them. I did a bad act, right? So now I'm gray. I'm going to have to wait a couple minutes to turn green again and stuff, or to turn blue again and stuff. But that will show you what it prevents you from doing, okay? And then same thing with this one. I like to keep this one on too. Quarry before performing beneficial acts on bad people. Okay, so for an example, if you're in a dungeon and you go to heal a monster, this will tell you, hey, look, wait, you're about to heal someone that's gray, which is going to make you gray, which is going to allow you to be freely attackable by anyone around you. Do you want to do this? Probably not. It was probably just a misclick, you know, so keep those on, all right? Keep those on, folks. That'll help you as a newer player, all right? And as we're gray, I'll go over a couple different things. That's why I kind of did this real quick too, all right? Some other features you're going to want to turn on, okay? In here, all right, that's pretty much it actually for in here. For the combat, that's pretty straightforward. I generally keep those pretty much the way they are, all right? But on a side note that's very helpful to help you with notoriety, something you may want to do yourself too is if you don't like going gray or you don't like, you know, performing negative acts, if you double click on the pentagram on the top of your paper doll, okay, and then you go down to this second option on the right-hand side, there'll be a bunch of different toggles here, okay? A bunch of different options. What you can do is you can click off disable open innocent corpses, okay? So what that does is when someone dies around you that's an innocent or blue, right? You could potentially open their corpse, which isn't illegal. okay? But once you've opened their corpse, you could take an item off their corpse, which is illegal in the game, which should, again, flag you gray, all right? There's a notoriety system built into Ultima Online, which is blue, good, gray, temporarily bad, and red, murderer, okay? Bad. So if you're gray or red, you get, you're freely attackable. And I do apologize for jumping around a bit in this video as well. But if you are gray or red, you're freely attackable. So there are certain ways to prevent yourself from going gray or red, or at least help yourself, you know, preventatively going gray or red. So again, you're going to want to click off Disable Open Innocent Corpses, because when someone dies around you now, or when someone kills a monster around you, and it's not yours to loot, this will prevent you from opening the corpse, so then you don't go gray by looting it, okay? So click that off, and you're safe there. Again, there's a lot of different options to click on and off in here. This is something really personal that you'll probably want to play around with different options once you get to playing different things. Like for an example, one I usually click off is Ignore Moongate Prompt, okay? When you go into a Moongate or a portal, it's going to prompt you and ask you, do you want to actually do this and teleport to another area? Maybe you'll get stuck, whatever else, but it's asking you. I don't like to have that pop up because I just want to jump through. I know the risks of a gate at this point, right? So I want to just jump into it. So I've turned off Ignore Moongate Prompt, and you'll probably want to play with different settings in here as well yourself, just to get the game to act and react the way you want it to play, okay? So go back into the options menu here, all right, and play around with a few more things here, and then we'll start wrapping up this video here for this set, all right. So what we'll do is we go back in here now that we're blue again, okay, now that our name is blue again, we can get healed by the town healer, okay, so that's a good feature to remember as well. These onks, or wandering healers, Beck the healer, Busia the healer, they will heal you if you go in vicinity of them when you're dead. So when you die, you're essentially a ghost, right? Wandering the world as a ghost, right? And then, as you saw there, that person got resurrected, right? You won't see a ghost unless they tab into combat so you can see them. So that's another thing too. If you die and there's people around you, remember you have to tab into combat to actually know, or to let people see you as a ghost, okay? Otherwise they can't see you, right? But if you die, go to a resurrection shrine, okay, one of these onks, or to a wandering healer, and they'll get you resurrected. And the onks are randomly placed in the world. The healers are randomly placed in the world. There's a lot of different places to find these healers, okay? And this is a great point too now, because what I can show you is how to use bandages, okay? That was our death robe, it just disappeared. With bandages, okay, you can double click a bandage and then heal yourself, okay? Very much like a healing stim pack or something in Apex Legends or whatever else, right? But double click your bandage, okay? And then you can apply it to yourself by either clicking on your health bar or clicking on the actual character in the game itself. You'll get a message, you begin to apply bandages, okay? At this point in the game, we're not very well trained. We just started, right? So our skill is not very good, okay? So we probably are going to fail the bandage application. Oh, we actually got it. Okay. So we applied some bandages, and as you saw, our health went back up. Again, very, very important skill in Ultima Online is healing, okay? With healing, keep your player alive, keeps you in the fight, whatever else, right? Some very basics of healing, okay, are with bandages, the way to either acquire bandages, so there's a few different ways. You can either fight mobs that drop bandages as loot, okay? You can go to the outside world and try and stumble across some cotton fields that have bandages that you can actually pick cotton and then come into a tailor shop, right? You can then spin the wool or the cotton on the spinning wheels, okay? Then with the spinning wheels, you're going to get either bolts of yarn or balls of yarn. I forget exactly what you get, but you get a resource. Then with those, you bring them over to the loom. Double click on the balls of yarn. Actually, you know what? I'll show you here real quick. You double click on the balls of yarn real quick, and then you can make bolts of cloth. Bolts of cloth can then be turned into bandages. Okay. Oh, how many do we need? I think we need 5. Okay. So then, like I said, once you've spun your wool into your yarn, okay, then come over here and then use the loom to build your cloth, okay? So it takes 5 balls, I believe. So 1, 2, 3. It might have already been started from someone else too. So then you make a bolt of cloth, okay? And with the bolt of cloth, you can use scissors on it. And you can either, okay, when you start the game, that's why I always suggest people start with the healing skill too, because you'll start with a pair of new bead scissors, so you never lose them. They don't wear out or anything. And scissors is one of the most important items in the game to just have in your bag. It's like they're really important, really useful. You can then use the scissors on the bolt of cloth to cut it up into cut cloth. Then with cut cloth, if you cut it again, it turns into bandages. Okay, so now we have 150 bandages in our bag, right? So we've just added to our bandage count. See how our bandages went up? So, okay. So that's another thing. So you can do that, all right? And that's how you acquire bandages. Again, this is very, very basic information, folks. This is for people that might not have played before, might have played years upon years ago and were so young they don't remember this type of stuff. This is for the new player, right? We'll get into some more advanced stuff in a different video, but again, this is important information to have for a new player, right? If you click and drag anything and put it on your paper doll, that's how you dress yourself. Pretty standard stuff there. I'm just trying to think of more important information here. The importance of combat, okay? So as I was saying before, the importance of clicking off that tab to quarry is going to be shown here in a second, because I'm going to show you some quick combat, all right? So what we do is we go into the sewers here. You can go anywhere you want. You can go into the graveyard or anything like that as well. But in the sewers here, okay, see how that guy went gray on me? What that means is essentially that little rat is trying to attack me, okay? So we are now in combat, all right? He's going to work his way around the thing here to try and come and attack me and everything like that. But essentially the way it works is, to start fighting something, you tab into combat. Okay, so press tab, which again, it's a toggle now that we've switched off the hold button in our options menu, and I showed you that earlier. So now we're in combat mode, so you'd run over to whatever mob or creature you want to attack, all right? And then you can either double click on it, or sometimes if it attacks you, it will automatically attack. Like you saw me shoot an arrow at that because it attacked me. But we'll try and actively attack the slime. So I'll run over and double click the slime in attack mode. So now we are now actively attacking the slime, okay? It's going to come towards me because it's going to try and engage me in combat, all right? As an archer, you could theoretically run away and kite your target if you wanted to, but it's not a big deal. We'll just sit here and take it, all right? And we'll see what happens. Oh, so now we got poisoned, all right? So now we're in combat, so we're fighting the little slime there, right? And we're shooting them with arrows. And then another thing too is, when you're poisoned, you can't heal yourself directly, okay? You have to cure the poison first, and then you have to heal yourself. So in this case, we'll have to try and apply the bandages and maybe hope that it cures us, okay? Before we can actually heal our character back up, all right? That's one of the mechanics of Ultima Online. You have to cure yourself before you heal yourself, okay? So now that the poison is worn off, we can then use the bandages again. They finished, so our health went back up. Then, once you've killed a monster, to loot the monster, you run over, double-click the corpse. I have it set for grid loot and for corpse loot, and that's an option in here as well. All right, if you scroll down, where is it? Okay, if you scroll down in the regular general options menu, okay, to Gumps and Context, all right, there's going to be an option about 3/4 of the way down, which is grid loot, okay? I like to have both on, okay? Because normally in Ultima Online, when you come over to a corpse, okay, and you open it for the first time, you'll be prompted with just the corpse, okay? You'll be prompted with just the corpse, like just the little casket here. I like to have the grid loot on because grid loot makes it a little bit easier to keep things organized and loot things, in my opinion. So I like to have both on because sometimes there's certain things that grid loot is weird for, like grabbing things that are overweight and stuff like that, so you can drop them on the ground, different things, okay? So anyways, once you've opened up your corpse, then what you can do is to either loot things, you can either single click on the grid loot, okay? Or you can double click, click and drag the items from your bag or from the corpse into your bag, all right? And then also too, you can also set it as well. Lots of different options for different ways to interact with the game. But if you go into your containers in your options menu and then double click, and then you set it for double click to loot items inside container, okay? What that will do is once you've opened up a corpse, once you double click it, you can actually just double click the items in the bag. They're over a ledge, so I can't technically grab them right now, but that will allow you to grab the items in the corpse without having to like click and drag them, all right? So as you can see, combat's pretty straightforward once you know how to get in and out of combat. So right now, like I was saying, if I wanted to get out of combat and leave everything here without having to worry about it, I could tab out of combat and not have to worry about it, right? Not have to actively kill things. So that's how combat works, okay? Combat's pretty straightforward when you're fighting NPCs in Ultima Online. Pretty basic in terms of like back and forth and everything. It's when you start getting into PvP that it starts getting pretty strategic, let's put it that way. Other than that, very basics of Ultima Online, what you'll want to also do is play around with the different options in your paper doll, right? I find a lot of people don't click around the different options and play around with the different options to get things set up for themselves, and that is really, really important. So again, click around your options, make sure you've got everything properly set up, and from there, you'll be able to actually, customize the way the game works and the way you want to play it and the way it's visually set up on your screen here, the way you interact with different features in the game. There's so many different ways and options to click off that so many people play different ways that I don't want to get too much into the options because I don't want to overwhelm people. But with time, you'll figure out how you like things to act, how you want things to interact, and figure out what options you want to use or not use, right? Also, too, from there, a quick overview of the banking or storage system when you first get into Ultima Online. So you're going to start in the inn here in Britain, okay? So this is where you're pretty much going to start all your characters. From here, what you're going to want to do is probably run right to the bank as well, okay? The bank or storage system, like where you keep a lot of your high valuable items, is over here. Okay, this is Brit Bank here, all right? So it's just a quick runaway. And then how you access your bank is old school way. You actually have to type it in. For some reason, I have click to type. That's fine. And then you can open up your bank box. We still have some gold in here, actually, too, that we can stack some more gold on top of. Just pile it up, all right? So this is our bank over here. So like I said, you can utilize some storage here. I believe it's 125 items, if I'm not mistaken, and see who's hanging out here. Some people might be buying and selling some things. There's generally some people on top the bank here that are doing gates to different vendors where you can buy some goods and services. The bank is essentially like your central hub for communicating with different players and stuff like that in game, right? All right. Other than that, I'm just trying to think of some other really basics here. Other than that, a way you can get a mount. This should be shown pretty early in the game as well, as a lot of people want to get a mount as early as they can. If you want to get a mount in the game, you'll have to run to one of the stable masters in the game, which are located in different areas. If you pull up your map, or I guess it doesn't show you on that one. Oh, yeah, it doesn't show you anymore. They used to show you on the map, which, and again, I believe you can modify this map too to possibly show you what buildings are what with little icons. I know the map well enough that I just know where to go now. But if you want the icons, you could search online, I'm sure, to mod the map. But you'll want to go to a stable master, and then at the stable master, if you single click on the stable master, you can go to a buy list. Okay, there's a bunch of different, I guess, farm animals that you can purchase. Pack animals will help you carry more items, okay? But they're pretty weak, so you don't want to really take them into combat areas and stuff like that. But for this video, like I said, for sake of argument, we're going to buy a horse, okay? Show you how to do that. So again, click on the NPC, go to buy, scroll down to the item you want to buy, double click, make sure you have enough gold, and then click on the little acceptance seal there, and you purchase your item. In this case, we get a live horse that is now going to follow us around, okay? Basic controls for your tamables are all follow me. Oh, I hate that. And okay, so some people might have it where you have to hit enter to talk. I know in a lot of MMOs nowadays that is a standard feature. Hit enter to talk and then hit enter to enter your chat. Ultima Online's always been just type and chat, so it throws me off when I have to actually confirm that I want to chat. So all follow me is a basic command to get your pets to follow you. Okay, so they'll literally follow you around. Okay, all stay will get your pet to stay, right? Okay, all kill will get your pet to target something, so I can actually get my pet to physically attack something, like me, okay? Or all guard me, okay? We'll put my horse in a guard mode, so if something was to attack me, my horse would automatically attack it, okay? And then for tamers, this is an important one, all stop, okay? If your pet does attack you, and you don't want it to attack you anymore, tell it to stop, not stay. Because if you tell it to stay, as soon as you tell it to not stay, what's it going to do? It's going to start attacking you again. You have to tell it to stop, so it like essentially erases its queue of things it's supposed to be doing and resets that little slate of things to do, okay? So hit all stop for tamers. I see a lot of tamers getting attacked by their pets, and they tell them to stay, and then they tell their pets to attack something else, and then as soon as their pets are done attacking something else, it comes back and attacks them. Tell it to stop, not stay, okay? And then from there, very basic, to mount your horse, you will double click on your horse when you are in range of it, okay? That'll put you on your horse, all right? And then you are much faster at running around. Pretty much run at double speed, okay? So that's pretty much the basics of really, really basic Ultima Online. How to play, how to get into Ultima. Once you're in Ultima, and like I said, running around and stuff like that, you'll play around with the combat system a little bit better. I don't want to ruin anything in terms of what you should be fighting or where you should be going. So figure that out for yourselves. Ultima is a lot of fun that way, figuring out things and what you should be fighting and stuff. But to show you really quick again, tab into combat, double click your target, okay? That will start initiating the combat. Your target will start attacking you back, okay? And then from there, what you can do is, if you get damaged, double click your bandages, single click your health bar or U to get healed up, and you're good from there, okay? Further still, there are hotkeys or macros you can make in the game. Very basic like setup here is you're going to get Razor. That's what I use. Okay, you might use something different. I use Razor, but very basic macros to have. And one that you should probably utilize real quick would be something like heal yourself. Like go into hotkeys and make a self heal hotkey. So if you go into hotkeys, items, there's going to be bandages, okay? Bandage self, okay, what you want to do is put a hotkey to bandage self. So just at the press of a button on your keyboard, you'll attempt to bandage yourself. It's not going to let me because I don't have any damage right now. But with that key press, I attempt to bandage. Normally it would bring up the cursor and it would, or sorry, it wouldn't bring up the cursor because it automatically knows I'm trying to bandage myself, but it will automatically try and bandage myself. And then with another key press, right, you could also have it set so that you target someone else because you can heal other players too if you're close enough, right? So again, you can have a hotkey set for targeting yourself, right? Or you can have a hotkey set for targeting other players around you to heal them up as well. Most features in Ultima Online can be hotkeyed, so remember that. There's tons of different hotkeys, tons of different ways you can set up different macros and stuff like that. There's scripts to set up, so play around with the different macros, play around with your hotkeys, and get things set up the way you want the game to play. And then further still from there, what I always suggest people do is as soon as they essentially enter the game, you're going to want to start macroing certain skills up to build up your skills, right? Because in Ultima Online, skills are built up by usage, right? So the more you use a skill, the more you gain in a skill, right? So for an example, if we were to go to the Bard at the back here, okay, I'll go here real quick and just do this real quick, kind of to wrap up the video to show you how to macro a skill real quick. Because again, this is very basic information, right? A lot of people will know how to do this, but there's some people that don't know how to run a basic macro or whatnot. So this is really important stuff to get started in UO, to get a character established, right? Because even what you can do is you can have 3 accounts simultaneously logged in at a time, right? So what I always suggest is make your 3 accounts right off the hop, right? Have 2 accounts in the background that you're essentially macroing up characters, building up their skills to hit the ground running. And then if you want to play right away, build a basic warrior character that you could, like I was just doing there, killing even barnyard animals for skinning them for leather. So what you would do in that case is use your knife, walk up to the corpse, double click your knife, click on the corpse. It'll skin the corpse. You'll get leather. You can sell leather to players for money and for resources, right? So that's what you want to do right away as soon as you hop into UO is start macroing 2 characters in the background for whatever skills or template you're going to make in the background, and then have your 3rd account where you're actively playing it and building up money and starting to fund your characters, okay? So very basic macro here that we're going to be building is with this one here, okay? We've got our, let's do peacemaking, okay? Just for sake of video here. Okay, so we're going to create a new macro, which is peacemaking. Okay, you're just naming the macro here. All right, we go into the macros. All right, this is in the macro setting in Razor. Peacemaking, we're going to record ourselves literally just, in this case here, again, just for sake of video, we're going to record ourselves just double clicking the tambourine. Okay, in this case, what you could actually do is if you wanted to build up the actual peacemaking skill, a good way to build up the peacemaking skill is you can just target yourself. So what I've done here is these are all the skills in game that I was going over before we started. All right. So if you go into your paper doll, click on skills, that'll bring up a list of all the different skills. They're listed by category. Okay. The one we're going to want is in Bard category. If you want a quick tab to use the skill, all you have to do is click and drag the skill off. Some of them you can't use because they're just a passive skill. But if you want the skill to be able to just click and attempt to use the skill itself, click and drag the skill itself, and you get one of these little tab buttons. And then if you double click the tab, it'll actually use the skill. See, whom do you want to calm? I want to calm myself. And that will just try and do an AoE calm on everyone around us. All right. So what we'll do is, in this case here, okay, perfect. So we double clicked. The best way to set up a macro, okay, for long-term usage when you're peacemaking is buy a bunch of tambourines, buy a bunch of whatever single instrument you want to use, but buy the same instrument, okay? You're going to double click that instrument to start, okay, while you're recording, all right? So that double click to the tambourine. Then you're going to want to set to double click by type. Okay, because what that's going to do is every time the macro resets, it's going to try and double click that tambourine. So in case the tambourine runs out of uses after a while, because they only get so many uses, right? And essentially the macro breaks because it's like, hey, you don't have a tambourine, like the tambourine you were using isn't there anymore. What this will do is it will try and double click any tambourine in your bag. So essentially what will happen is once you break the first one, it will double click the second one and continue the macro in the loop, so you won't miss out on anything, right? Or any downtime, okay? And then what I did in the background while I was still recording was peacemaked and then clicked on myself, okay? So again, what that's doing is it's recording me clicking a tambourine, using the peacemaking skill, waiting for the targeting, and then targeting myself, okay? I don't like wait for targets in my macros, so I replace them with actual timeouts. I like to use, I don't want an actual timeout. I want an edit. Pause. Okay, so we're going to change this from a wait for target to an actual pause. It's going to pause for half a second after using the pacemaking skill and then target me. Okay, so what this is going to do is it's going to click a tambourine, use the peacemaking skill, and then target me. Then, by clicking loop, it's going to literally loop this time and time and time and time and time again. You get the point, okay? So in the background, while I'm doing something in my house, while I'm changing the kid's diaper, or while I'm vacuuming in the house, getting lunches ready for the week or whatever, you can be macroing up your characters in the background, getting them ready to hit the field running for whenever you do want to play. And then you're both building up your tribute points, as you saw there, and you're building up your skills, so when you're ready to play, your skills are higher. So like I said, as soon as you jump into UO, get everything set up the way you want it set up, get your 3 accounts running, right? Get your 2 characters macroing in the background, because in a lot of cases too, what you'd probably want to do is if you're making a warrior character, get them to fight one another, so then you're building up fighting skills, right? You can just get them to heal one another, right? And then you're building up a bunch of skills, right? And then in the foreground, you play a character that you want to play. Whatever character you decide to play while the other characters are building up in the background. And that way you're getting three birds, stoned at once, right? So there you go, folks. That was a very, very basic video on how to get into Ultima Online. Very, very basics of how to start a character, very basics of skill overview, very basics of how to essentially initiate combat, some different options you might want to click off to help yourself stay in combat. Again, I'm always available on all forms of social media, everyone, in case anyone ever has any questions about anything in these videos. I always try and make myself readily available, so by all means, folks, get in touch with me. I'm going to be making more of these videos moving forward, trying to help people out with, templates, helping people with different tips and tricks on how to acquire different items in the game, how to make money, different little instructional videos. If you ever want to see a certain video or anything covered, by all means, drop it in the chat down below or in the suggestions comment section, as I would love to hear from everyone in the future. But until that time, remember to stay healed up, everyone. This actually worked out pretty well today. I'm not a big fan of editing, so I try and do everything in one take. So I apologize for kind of the jumpiness there, everyone. In the future, if people would like shorter videos, more tailored in, if you think that would be better, again, let me know, folks. I'm relatively new to a lot of this recorded content. I'm a through and through like streamer, improv. I like live content. So if you have suggestions, let me know. I'd love to hear them. I take constructive criticism very well. So have a great day, everyone. All the best. Thank you so much for watching. Oh, and hit the subscribe button down below. I'd love to have you in the community here. We'd love to hear from you again. Have a great day, everyone. In case I don't see you, have a good afternoon, good evening, and good night. Bye for now.